Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Jennie Sjursen from Literacy Untangled. She serves struggling readers and people with dyslexia online and in person. Jennie, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so this is an exciting topic, a different topic that at least I haven't heard most people come on my show to talk about, and it's I think something very needed because I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there struggling, and it must be really hard. I could imagine for parents um, with children with these types of reading comprehension and dyslexia problems. Um, so Jennie, why don't you tell us a little bit before we get into that about your background and how you got started doing this?
Okay, sure. So it's sort of like dyslexia has been in my life forever because it runs in my family. It runs in my family, as does ADHD, and they often come together. So I've always known about it, but I didn't understand the teaching of it and how students struggled with it so much in school because I was growing up with it. It was there. I didn't kind of put that piece together until I became a special ed teacher. And I was teaching in a self-contained classroom for kids with high-functioning autism, as well as what they call SLD, which is specific language disability. And basically, that means you have dyslexia or dyscalculia or whatever. It's not very specific. It's an umbrella term.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And then I realized almost all of my students were boys, and my boys couldn't read. And
Mm.
I couldn't figure out how to help them to learn how to read. I knew what the problem was, but I didn't know how to help them. And that started my search on what do I need to do? What do I need to put in front of them? What do I as a teacher need to be doing?
Yeah.
And it took me on a path. and, and I finally, was putting pieces together, and that took me down the path of Orton Gillingham and structured literacy, and as well as something called structured word inquiry, and putting all those pieces together. So when I left the classroom, I knew that we were not serving kids like we should in the classrooms.
Mhm.
And I needed to be able to help the kids the way that they really needed to be helped. And that's how I ended up starting Literacy Untangled.
Fantastic. So, growing up, I luckily didn't have any of those issues, but I could imagine for kids that it was hard when you go to school and, you're not getting that additional attention maybe that you might need to be able to be more successful. Um, but, I have seen, like with my nephews that are younger now, that it was something that was brought up more, like especially the ADD or ADHD. It
Mhm.
seems like, I don't know, a lot of kids nowadays have that, or it's more diagnosed, let's say. But I'm happy to see that you saw the need for that, and that you decided, to start a business to help those children. So, Jennie, what is it that you help parents in this case solve?
Well, there's a couple of different things that we attach, but the biggest thing is I give parents a sense of confidence and self-assurance, because a lot of times they're being told, oh, wait till their child gets older, they'll outgrow this, all of these things, when the parent really knows there's something wrong and they don't know how, and they're not getting all the answers that they need. So I help parents that way, and I work with them. I give them some real answers, and I give them a way to move forward. We work on a plan when we work on, this is how your child learns, because, and here's my big word, your child is neurodiverse, right? This child learns differently, and it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it's just different. And a lot of schools and a lot of teachers aren't taught how to help these children. And so parents seem to go in circles. So yes, I teach your child how to read and manipulate language, but I also give you a sense that there's someone in your corner and someone who can give you some real answers about what's going on.
Yeah, I think it could be pretty frustrating, right? If you're getting answers, but it's not really a solution. So are you maybe developing some courses for a lot of these parents that are, quarantine with kids, or not really?
So no, not yet. That's
Not
the big
yet.
plan. That's the big plan down the road. What I do now is I do one-on-one. So
Okay,
I work with families and students one-on-one, and I both do it both in person and online. Obviously, more online than in
I could
person these
imagine.
days.
Mhm.
but but what we do is I take an assessment. I see where your child is at, and I tell you this is where your child's at, and then I say this is what we're going to be working on, and then we keep doing assessments I like to do them every semester, so to speak. And that way we can see the progress and where we need to go next. So there's always a plan, but it's also fluid because sometimes your child moves faster or slower. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's very tailored to the need of the child, and not a one size
Mhm.
fits all, which I don't think
It,
that would make sense.
I have never met any two children in a classroom that learn the same way, ever.
Yes, even if they're twins, right? So
Oh, no, yes, never. I have actually worked with twins. Never.
never. All right, cool. Um, and so Jenny, what's something that maybe sets you aside from other people that are doing something similar in your industry?
Well, I have a lot of experience in schools, but not only just schools, but in non-public schools. So I started working for Kennedy Krieger, which was at the time a type 2 school, and we were placed in a public school. So I have seen the public, I've seen the non-public side. I also was a special ed teacher and a case manager. So I know how to read IEPs, I know how to read assessments, I know how to give them. And a lot of people who come into this, a lot of times they come because their child doesn't know. And they may not necessarily have the same depth of education background that I have. So I'm able to take some of that educational babble, that educational speak, and make it real for people to say, this is what they're telling you.
That's great. So you're able to translate the
I try awfully hard.
yeah, yeah, I could imagine. It's like they say every industry has like their own jargon, right? And it's like I
Mhm.
have no idea what you're saying, but if you can at least explain it in a way that people can
Right.
understand, that's helpful.
And I was gonna say education was a career change for me. And I remember sitting in my first couple of case management class, my IEP meetings, and I'm going, I have no idea half of what anybody said to me. And so I get what parents are feeling because I understand what it feels like to have half of that just wash over you and you go, I have no idea what I just heard.
Hmm.
And and that's important to know what you heard. But I feel that and I know how the parents feel about that. So
Awesome. And so, Jenny, where can somebody reach out to you if they would like more information for a child?
the easiest way, there are two easy ways. The easiest way is if you want to look for more information is my website, which is www.literacyuntangled.com. And then you could also reach me by email, which is Jennie, Jennie, at literacyuntangled.com. And the reason I do those two things is because I don't answer my phone all the time if I'm with a client. And so those are just the easiest way and the most reliable way to get back and forth. But also, if you go to my website and you want to chat with me and just kind of get a consult or whatever, there's a link on there, and you can click on the link and set up a scheduled time to meet and talk with
Awesome. That sounds very easy to do and to get in contact with you.
me.
And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name's Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where together with my mom, we help families and businesses with their financial protection needs, all done digitally. Jenny, it's been great having you on the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I do have a random question for you.
Sure.
Let's see. Which do you have one in particular you want me to ask you?
I was
Or
going to say, don't ask me what I read because I have like a stack of books and I'm reading like 14 at a time. So I can't narrow that down. So you can
okay,
ask me the other two.
all right. Which one do you want? The productivity or the hobby one?
Well, let's go hobbies. That'll
Hobbies.
be.
All right. Right. And so Jenny, for your random question,
Mhm.
what are some of your hobbies?
Well, I grew up on the water. From the time I was 6 months old, I've always been on a boat. So when I coached and rowed for over 20 years. So I'm short, but I was in that bow, and I was strong. So I was a rower all through high school and college and a little bit after, and I rowed competitively. And I just kept going. And you'll often find me on a boat that was a little 17-footer that was my grandfather's, or a kayak, or at the beach. The water's my place. Water's where I'm happy.
Awesome. And yeah, being from Florida, the water is all around us, so
Mhm.
it's usually the hobby I get oftentimes.
Well,
With
I,
the
I
water.
grew up in cold Connecticut, so I only
Oh,
had
okay.
a window.
Yeah, I
But
thought I'm like rowing. There's some people here at the beach. There's like a team of people that row,
yeah.
but I like envision Harvard or like something, so I'm
Well,
close.
I grew up in between Yale and Harvard. I grew up right on that 95 corridor right through there. So
Okay, nice. Perfect. Well, Jenny, it's been a pleasure having you on today. And is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't think so. I think, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk to somebody. But other than that, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast and hope you will listen to the next one. I'm Lorena Tomasini, and you can contact me via email life@malmins.com. Make it a great day.